You think you are breaking, but you are only being named. There is a weight you have been carrying, a pressure in the center of your chest that wakes you in the middle of the night, a sense that the world is pressing in on you specifically, targeting you, whispering that you are not enough or that you are too much. You look at your life and you see conflict where you expected peace. You see friction where you prayed for flow. You have asked God why the road is so steep, why the wind is always against your face, and why, the moment you decided to do something truly good, everything seemed to turn truly difficult. If you are quiet enough to hear this, if you are desperate enough to stay, then understand that this is not an accident. This is the ancient signature of a calling. You are walking the same path that every chosen soul has walked before you, and there is a specific prophecy, given to a young man in a farmhouse in upstate New York, that holds the key to your suffering. He was told his name would be known for good and evil among all nations, kindreds, and tongues. Think of that. He was not told he would be universally loved. He was not promised a life of seamless adoration or simple success. He was promised that his very identity would become a dividing line, a catalyst for the greatest love and the fiercest hate. This is the burden of the prophetic, and if you feel the heaviness of it today, it is because you are being carved into something capable of holding a massive light. There is a law in the spiritual universe that is as immovable as the law of gravity. And it is this: the greater the purpose, the greater the opposition. It is a physics of the soul that Joseph Smith learned before he even had the plates in his hands, before the church was organized, before the persecutions truly began. He was warned. The angel Moroni did not come with a soft message of comfort. He came with a blueprint of conflict. He told a teenage boy that his name would be spoken of for good and evil. Why? Why must the good be accompanied by the evil? Why can't the light simply shine without the darkness trying to suffocate it? It is because purpose disrupts the status quo. Purpose challenges the entropy of the world. When you stand up to do something real, something that matters, you are pushing against the current of a fallen world, and the current will push back. You interpret this resistance as a sign that you are wrong, that you have missed the way, or that God has abandoned you. But the life of Joseph teaches us the exact opposite. The resistance is the confirmation. The friction is the heat of the tires hitting the road. If you were moving nowhere, you would feel no wind. It is only because you are moving at speed, toward a destiny that matters, that the air itself seems to form a wall against you. You are not being punished. You are being identified. Consider the isolation of the calling. Before the public conflict, there is the private wilderness. Joseph went into a grove of trees seeking wisdom, and before he saw the pillar of light, he was seized by a power that bound his tongue. He was enveloped in a darkness so thick it felt like a physical weight, a darkness that threatened to destroy him. This is the pattern. Before the breakthrough, there is the breakdown. Before the heavens open, the earth feels like it is closing in. You have felt this. You have felt those moments where you are utterly alone, where your prayers seem to hit a ceiling of brass, where the silence of God is so loud it hurts. You feel abandoned. But looking back at the sacred grove, we see that the darkness was not the end. It was the prelude. It was the final gasp of the adversary trying to stop a pivotal moment of history. Your struggle right now, that intensity of opposition you feel in your mind and your spirit, is often the indicator that you are inches away from a revelation. The enemy does not attack empty houses. If you were not carrying treasure, you would not be waylaid. The darkness gathers closest to the point where the light is about to break through. You are in the grove. You are in the thick darkness. But you must hold on for one more moment, for the pillar of light descends only after you have exerted all your powers to call upon God. This burden of good and evil means that you will be misunderstood. This is perhaps the hardest part of the psychological weight Joseph carried. To know your own heart, to know you are trying to do good, to serve, to love, and yet to have your motives twisted, your character maligned, and your name used as a byword for deceit. This is a crucifixion of the ego. It burns, keeps you awake. You want to defend yourself. You want to explain. You want to scream the truth from the rooftops. Joseph spent a lifetime facing a hurricane of slander. From the moment he shared his first vision, the trusted men of his community turned on him. Friends became enemies. The people he tried to save became the people who sought his life. And yet, he had to learn the lesson of silence. He had to learn that you cannot manage your reputation and your mission at the same time. You have to choose. If you are obsessed with how you are perceived, with having your name known only for good, you will compromise your message. You will water down the truth to make it palatable. But if you accept the prophecy that you will be known for good and evil, you are liberated. You stop trying to please the crowd. You realize that the misunderstanding of the world is the price of admission for the intimacy of God. You let them speak. You let them think what they will. You keep your eyes on the cloud by day and the fire by night. There is a profound loneliness in seeing what others cannot see. Joseph lived with a vision of eternity that was so vast, so radical, and so beautiful that it was difficult to communicate it to minds that were used to smaller containers. He said he felt like a rough stone rolling, knocking off the corners, polished by the friction. He said that if he told the people all that he knew, they would rise up and kill him. Think of the burden of holding that much unexpressed truth. You, too, have insights that the people around you do not understand. You have a vision for your life, for your family, or for your work that seems crazy to others. They tell you to be realistic. They tell you to settle. They look at you with skepticism, and you feel the gap between your vision and their reality. It is a lonely place. It requires a stamina of spirit to continue building an ark when everyone else says there is no rain. But this is what it means to carry the name. It means walking ahead. It means being the scout who climbs the ridge and sees the valley, while the rest of the company is still complaining about the dust in the lowlands. You cannot wait for their validation. If you wait for everyone to agree with you, you will never move. You must learn to trust the internal witness more than the external noise. We must speak of the betrayal. The prophecy that his name would be known for evil was often fulfilled by those who once sat at his table. The deepest wounds Joseph sustained were not from the mobs in Missouri, but from the apostles in Kirtland. It is one thing to be attacked by a stranger. It is another to be stabbed by a brother. The psychological devastation of betrayal is unique. It unmoors you. It makes you question your judgment, your safety, and your sanity. Why does this happen? Why does the path of purpose lead through the valley of betrayal? It is because your heart must be broken open to hold the charity of God. A heart that has never been betrayed is a heart that is still protecting itself. But a heart that has been broken and yet chooses to love again, that is a heart that is becoming like the Christ. Joseph taught that we must forgive not 7 times but 70 times 7. He welcomed back those who had blackened his name. He showed us that the only way to survive the evil spoken of you is to drown it in a flood of mercy. If you are harboring bitterness today because of what someone did to you, you are letting the evil win. You are carrying the poison. You must release it, not because they deserve it, but because you have a work to do, and you cannot run the race with a millstone of resentment tied to your ankles. Then comes the dungeon. The Liberty Jail experience is the crucible of the prophetic burden. Here is the man of God, the chosen seer, rotting in a cold, filthy basement for months, listening to the obscene jests of guards, while his people are driven from their homes, raped and murdered. He cries out, "O God, where art thou?" This is the rawest question in the scripture of the restoration. It is the question you have asked when your suffering exceeded your understanding. If I am doing what you asked, why is this happening? The silence that followed was heavy, but the answer that eventually came changed everything. My son, peace be unto thy soul. Thine adversity and thine afflictions shall be but a small moment. And then the pivot. All these things shall give thee experience, and shall be for thy good. This is the alchemy of the burden. The evil, the pain, the cold, the betrayal. It is not just waste. It is raw material. It is being transmuted into experience. It is expanding the capacity of the soul. You are being stretched not to be broken but to be enlarged. The depth of your valley determines the height of your mountain. You cannot have the revelation of the throne of God without the enclosure of the prison walls. They are one and the same. The burden creates a heaviness, yes, but it also creates a gravity. Have you noticed that people who have suffered deeply and processed it with God carry a presence? When they walk into a room, the atmosphere changes. They don't have to shout. They speak with the authority of scars. Joseph had this. Toward the end of his life, he possessed a solemnity and a joy that were paradoxically intertwined. He was known for his cheerfulness, his love of wrestling and playing, yet he carried the eternity in his eyes. He had integrated the good and the evil. He understood that life is not a binary choice between happiness and sadness, but a complex tapestry of both. He learned to dance in the rain. He learned to find the good, even when the evil was raging. This is your invitation. You do not have to wait for the storm to pass to be happy. You do not have to wait for your name to be cleared to be at peace. You can find a sanctuary inside your own soul, a place where the accusations of the world cannot reach. This is the peace that passes understanding. It is the peace of the eye of the hurricane. You must understand that the opposition is often a sign of the magnitude of your potential impact. The adversary is a strategist. He does not waste ammunition on targets that do not threaten his kingdom. If you are encountering fierce resistance in your mind, in your health, in your relationships, in your finances, it is highly likely that you are standing on the verge of a major contribution. You are a threat to the darkness. The prophecy of evil spoken against you is a backhanded compliment from hell. It means you matter. It means you are dangerous to the cause of misery. Joseph was hunted because he held keys that could unlock the prison doors of the human family. You hold keys for your family, for your lineage, for your community. You are a cycle breaker. You are the one who decided to heal the generational trauma. You are the one who decided to walk in faith when everyone else walked in fear. Of course, the resistance is heavy. You are shifting the tectonic plates of your history. Do not take the opposition as a stop sign. Take it as a confirmation that you are pushing on a heavy door that is about to open. There is a refining of your motives that happens only under the weight of the burden. In the beginning, we often do good things for mixed reasons, to be seen, to be praised, to be successful. But when the praise turns to scorn, when the success turns to struggle, we are forced to ask, why am I doing this? If you are doing it for the applause, you will quit when the booing starts. But if you are doing it for God, if you are doing it because it is true, you will continue even when the whole world laughs. Joseph was stripped of every external reward. He lost his money, his home, his reputation, and eventually his life. But he never lost his connection to the heavens. The fire burned away the dross and left only the gold. You are in the fire right now. It is hot. It is uncomfortable. But it is burning away your dependency on the opinions of others. It is burning away your need for validation. It is leaving you with a core of steel. You are learning to stand on the rock of your own witness. You are becoming a person of integrity who acts the same in the dark as in the light. The prophecy also speaks to the good that will be spoken. We often focus on the evil, but the promise was dual. Millions would know his name for good. And indeed, millions do. For every critic, there is a witness. For every lie, there is a testimony. Your life will touch people you cannot see. Your struggle will become a lifeline for someone else. When you endure your burden with grace, you are creating a map for those who will follow you. You are showing your children, your friends, and your peers that it is possible to walk through hell and keep going. You are planting seeds of hope that will bloom long after you are gone. Do not underestimate the good. It is quiet. It often doesn't make headlines. It happens in the silent moments of connection, in the tears wiped away, in the prayers answered. You are a conduit of light in a darkening world. The darkness screams, but the light travels. The evil is loud, but the good is eternal. Trust in the fruit of your labors. Trust that the good you do is recorded in archives that cannot be corrupted or deleted. Consider the endurance required. Joseph was not a sprinter. He was a marathon runner who ran through mud. I am like a huge, rough stone rolling down from a high mountain, he said. And the only polishing I get is when some corner gets rubbed off by coming in contact with something else. All hell knocking off a corner here and a corner there. He understood that the collision was the creation. You are tired. I know you are tired. The burden feels too heavy today. You want to set it down. You look at others with easier lives and you feel a pang of envy. Why them and not me? But you must remember, you were not made for an easy life. You were made for a great one. The calm sea never made a skilled sailor. You are being trained for a weight of glory that is beyond your current comprehension. The endurance itself is the victory. To keep standing when you want to collapse. To keep loving when you want to hate. To keep believing when everything screams despair. This is the stuff of godhood. This is how the soul grows. Ultimately, the burden of the name leads to the altar of consecration. Joseph knew his time was short. He sensed the encroaching end. I am going like a lamb to the slaughter, he said. But I am calm as a summer's morning. How do you reach that level of calm in the face of death? By total surrender. By accepting the burden so fully that it no longer weighs you down, but carries you. He had given everything. He had held nothing back. There was no more evil that could hurt him, because he had already died to the world. He was free. This is the final secret of the prophetic burden. When you consecrate your suffering to God, it becomes sacred. It ceases to be meaningless pain and becomes a holy offering. Your struggles, your heartbreaks, your lonely nights, lay them on the altar. Tell God, this is for you. Use this. Wring the meaning out of this. When you do that, the bitterness evaporates. You are left with a deep, abiding sense of purpose. You realize that you were not a victim of your life. You were a participant in a divine unfolding. So, to you who feel the weight of the world today, lift up your head. You are in good company. You are walking the path of the prophets. The opposition you feel is the wind of your ascent. The evil spoken of you is the dust kicked up by your forward motion. The good is the legacy you are carving into the bedrock of eternity. Do not ask for a lighter load. Ask for a stronger back. Do not ask for the path to be smooth. Ask for the vision to see where it leads. Your name is known in the heavens. You are watched over with a love that is fiercer than any hate you will ever encounter. The darkness may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And when the morning breaks and the shadows flee away, you will look back on this time of burden not with regret, but with gratitude. You will see that it was the heavy stone that sharpened the blade. You will see that it was the struggle that gave you the strength to fly. Stand still. The silence you hear is not emptiness. It is the holding of breath before the miracle. You are being prepared. You are being called. And though the whole world may turn against you, if you are standing with God, you are standing in the majority. The burden is heavy, yes, but heavy is the crown. And you, my friend, are being crowned with experience, with empathy, and with a light that cannot be put out. Walk on. The dawn is closer than you think. There is a moment in the middle of the struggle where you have to decide who you are. The external voices are loud. The critics, the doubters, the circumstances that scream failure. But there is a quiet, internal voice that has been with you since before you were born. Joseph Smith had to listen to that voice when he was tarred and feathered in Hiram, Ohio. They dragged him from his home in the dead of night, choked him, scratched his skin with their nails, and covered him in hot tar. The next morning, it was the Sabbath. People expected him to hide, to recover, to retreat. Instead, he stood on the porch and preached to a congregation that included some of the very men who had attacked him hours before. He did not let the trauma dictate his identity. He did not let the violence silence his voice. This is the defiance of the Spirit. This is the courage that is required of you. When life knocks the wind out of you, when you are humiliated or defeated, you have a choice. You can stay down and agree with your enemies, or you can rise up, wash off the tar, and speak your truth. The burden is not just in what happens to you. It is in the temptation to let what happens to you define who you are. You are not your trauma. You are not your reputation. You are a child of the covenant, and you have a work to do that does not depend on the permission of your persecutors. We must go deeper into the silence. There were periods in Joseph's life where the heavens seemed to turn to brass. We read the revelations in the Doctrine and Covenants, and they seemed to flow one after another. But we forget the months of silence in between. We forget the times he prayed and got nothing. We forget the times he tried and failed. The silence is part of the language of God. It is in the silence that your faith shifts from an emotional experience to a moral choice. Do you believe because you feel the burning? Or do you believe because you have chosen to be faithful? It is easy to follow the prophet when the Red Sea is parting. It is hard to follow when you are thirsty in the wilderness and the water is bitter. Your current season of silence, where you feel you are shouting into the void, is a test of your spiritual maturity. God is weaning you off the milk of constant reassurance so you can digest the meat of absolute trust. He is teaching you to walk by starlight when the sun has gone down. Do not mistake the silence for absence. The teacher is always quietest during the test. Think of the toll on the physical body. The burden of the spiritual often manifests in the physical. Joseph was often exhausted, sick, or weary. The sheer energy required to sustain a connection with the divine while managing the chaos of the temporal world is immense. You may feel this bone-deep weariness. You may feel like your body is keeping the score of your stress. This is real. It is not a lack of faith. It is the cost of discipleship. It is the friction of the mortal trying to house the immortal. Be gentle with yourself. Even the Savior needed to sleep in the boat during the storm. Even Elijah needed to rest under the juniper tree and eat before he could journey to the mountain of God. You are not a machine. You are a vessel, and vessels need to be refilled. Do not despise your humanity. Your weakness is the very thing that draws the grace of Christ into your life. If you were perfect, you would not need a Savior. If you were tireless, you would not need His rest. The burden reminds you of your limit, and your limit points you to His infinity. Let us speak of the evil that comes from distortion. One of the greatest trials Joseph faced was having his teachings twisted. He would teach a principle of freedom, and people would turn it into license. He would teach a principle of order, and people would turn it into tyranny. Being misinterpreted is a special kind of hell for a visionary. You say love, and they hear permissiveness. You say truth, and they hear arrogance. You too will face this. You will try to set a boundary, and you will be called selfish. You will try to share a dream, and you will be called impractical. You will try to help, and you will be accused of interfering. The distortion is inevitable because people hear through the filter of their own wounds. They do not hear what you say, they hear what they fear. You cannot spend your life trying to tune everyone else's receiver. You just have to keep broadcasting the clear signal. Eventually, those with ears to hear will hear. The rest will hear only the static of their own resistance. Do not lower your transmission tower just because some radios are broken. The prophecy of good and evil also implies a polarization. Your presence forces a choice. People cannot remain neutral around a high-vibration calling. Joseph Smith polarized the nation. You either loved him or you hated him. You couldn't ignore him. As you step into your calling, you will notice that your relationships change. Some will deepen intensely, becoming bonds of iron. Others will fray and snap. People who were comfortable with your smallness will be uncomfortable with your growth. They may pull away. They may attack. This shedding process is painful, but it is necessary. You are being realigned. You cannot bring everyone with you to the summit. Some are meant for the valley. Some are meant for the base camp. Only a few are equipped for the climb. Bless them, release them, and keep climbing. Do not dim your light to keep others comfortable in their darkness. That serves no one. The burden teaches you to live in the nevertheless. This is a prophetic word. The world is against you. Nevertheless, I am with you. The pain is great. Nevertheless, the promise is sure. Joseph's life was a constant nevertheless. He was poor, uneducated, persecuted. Nevertheless, he founded a global faith, translated ancient records, and built cities. Your life is defined by your nevertheless. You are struggling financially. Nevertheless, you are generous. You are battling depression. Nevertheless, you show up for your family. You are afraid. Nevertheless, you take the step. The power is not in the absence of the obstacle, but in the determination to move through it. The nevertheless is the bridge over the chasm. It is the grit of the soul. It is the word that separates the victim from the victor. Write nevertheless over your struggles today. It is the pivot point of your destiny. We must acknowledge the role of angels. Joseph did not carry the burden alone. He was visited, instructed, and comforted by beings from the other side. Moroni, Peter, James, John, Elijah, Moses. The veil was thin. The prophecy of opposition was matched by a reality of support. You are not alone either. The veil is thinner than you think. You have ancestors who are invested in your victory. You have angels who are dispatched to bear you up. They that be with us are more than they that be with them. The burden of the name is too heavy for one mortal to carry. That is why you are yoked. When you feel the weight crushing you, it is because you are trying to carry it with your own muscles. You need to lean into the covenant. You need to ask for the unseen help that is your birthright. The air around you is thick with assistance. But you must ask. You must invite. You must believe that the help is real. There is a final sealing of the testimony. For Joseph, it was blood. For you, it may be the consecration of a lifetime of effort. It is the moment you say, I have run the race. I have kept the faith. It is the moment you stop fighting the burden and start wearing it as a badge of honor. You realize that the evil spoken of you was just the friction necessary to polish the gem. You realize that the good was the grace of God flowing through your broken places. You stand at the end of the day, scarred but standing, tired but triumphant. You have become something that could not have been made in a world of ease. You have become a witness. So, listen to the prophecy again. Your name shall be known for good and evil. Do not fear the evil. Do not chase the good. Just be true. Be true to the light that touched you in your own sacred grove. Be true to the voice that whispered peace to you in your own prison cell. The world will say what it will say. Let them talk. You have a work to do. The angels are waiting. The heavens are watching. And the God who called a farm boy to move the world is calling you to move your mountain. The burden is heavy, yes, but the hands that hold you are everlasting. Now breathe. Feel the weight. Acknowledge it. And then, take one step forward. That is all that is required. One step, and then another, until the journey is done.